Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii is my favorite JRPG of all time. It hits all the notes that I want in a JRPG game. You know, coming into JRPGs back when that released in 2012, I was still kind of an infant and a newbie in the genre. It's a genre I did not grow up with playing. It was not my go-to thing to play. I actually detested them until about my late high school years when I finally picked up Xenosaga on the PS2. And that was my introduction into really giving JRPGs a shot. So it's no surprise that Xenoblade Chronicles, the franchise, has taken itself over as my favorite JRPG franchise of choice, even though it's not a lot of games in the series. Then Dragon Quest right there behind it. But something about Xenoblade, I love that combat system in it. That MMO style, cooldown based, freely moving your character around combat system. It's just a combat system I love, and I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. They like the more classic turn-based style, which I do too. But with me having a heavy World of Warcraft background, it just clicked with me so much, that original game. So in 2012, we finally got that game. Me and a lot of my friends here on YouTube are so excited about it. We finally get it after waiting 2 years for it to finally come to America, when we even thought we weren't getting it. It was supposed to be just staying in Japan. You know, the Wii's going to be on its way out, so why are they going to bring this over to America? Then Operation Rainfall happened in all its glory, and I like to think that it played a huge part, and we as gamers played a huge role into helping to get that game over here as a collective voice, letting it be heard. And sure enough, it happened, and it was a huge success for them. It was the most successful out of all the Operation Rainfall games, and deservedly so. I think it is the best entry out of all three of those. But needless to say, it was a success. Operation Rainfall, forever will be thankful for you guys and all the other gamers who helped to get this game over here. But shortly after its launch, we had an announcement in the summer of 2013 for Xenoblade Chronicles X. I couldn't believe it. After we've spent so long waiting for the original game to get over here on the Wii, we're getting a trailer for Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U, and it looked incredible. I mean, visually, we're coming from the Wii here, so the HD look of Xenoblade just looked incredible on this system. Needless to say, the world looked huge. But not only that, you got mechs in the game, and the mechs in the trailer are flying around and traversing the map. It's like, oh my goodness, this is incredible. It's kind of a callback to the older games in the Xeno line of games. So it was really cool. I couldn't believe it. So again, friends here, we're all excited. Xenoblade Chronicles X, it's coming out. Oh, it's going to be a while. Year after year would pass, and again, this was announced, the trailer in 2013, and we're already seeing gameplay footage. But it took until April of 2015 until the game finally came out here in the West. I know it had a lot of turmoil, like some rewrites and stuff through development, and it kept getting delayed. But you know what? We finally got it. And so, of course, me, day one, pre-ordered. I was ready to get it, picked it up, came home to play it, and started playing it. Like many of my other friends, we all grabbed it to play it because we love Xenoblade. So I'm playing through it, and at first it feels like Xenoblade, you know, cooldown based combat system, huge open world exploring. But something about the pacing just wasn't clicking for me. Something how they kind of lay out the story different in this game, to where there's these certain prerequisites you have to complete in order to continue with the story. And that was kind of holding it back for me. You know, I would be like, how do I continue with the story? I would go to this mission table in my barracks. It would tell me kind of what I thought I needed to do. Here, complete these 2 missions and then explore 15% of this map. I'm like, okay, where's the missions? I had trouble just finding the missions to do that I was looking for to do. So I ended up purchasing the collector's edition guide to kind of help me out and point the way of where to find certain missions and stuff on the map, just so I could continue with the main story. Plus, I was finding it difficult actually exploring the map, the percentages they wanted you to uncover. And for how this game works is you have these big open lands, we'll call them like separated by, I don't want to call them continents, but certain land zones. Like your main land zone you start in is Primordia, then you have another different zone, a desert zone to the right, a jungle zone a little bit further up, and then a snow zone, like all these different zones in standard fare games. And you're having to uncover percentages of the map by just exploring it, whether you're walking around and finding a named area or landmark. But the way you get the most out of exploring is planting these probes throughout the map, but you have to find these certain points to plant the probes. And I was just having a hard time accessing some of the areas to plant the probes. This game is not just huge, because I saw a statistic where it's like 10 times the size of Skyrim. It's bigger than Breath of the Wild. Like, this map is huge, and you can travel the whole thing without any load screens. It's incredible. But not just horizontally is it huge, it's got a lot of vertical depth to it. That's where the mechs, the scales, what they call them in this game, comes into play. But when you're playing through this game the first time, you don't know what's accessible to you on foot. So I found myself getting lost and not being able to plant these probes. And it started to annoy me. The game just started to annoy me. And it got hard and difficult. I had a certain point early on in the game where there was a boss fight I was at, and I just could not push through it. I couldn't do it. And I couldn't grasp the combat system like I could in the first game. So what did I do? Like a lot of people, I put the game down. We put the game down. It's the black sheep of the Xenoblade series. We're like, okay, we really enjoyed the first one, then you give us this game, and that was it. Now, it didn't take away from my love of the original game, but I was disappointed. I was like, wow, this entry I was so excited about, and I don't even care to finish it. Then Xenoblade Chronicles 2 gets announced, and of course I had taken a break from YouTube, so you don't know my thoughts on that game, but I love that game. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 comes out, I love that, and just this year, earlier in 2022, February I believe, was the direct, I can't remember, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 gets announced. Of course, I'm over the moon. I'm excited. I cannot wait. It's coming here in July. Originally, they had it in September. Then they released a trailer a couple weeks ago announcing that it's coming out in July, even earlier. So I'm stoked. I can't wait. But something haunted me, and it was Xenoblade Chronicles X. I felt like I was doing myself a disservice if I did not go back and give that game another try. I made it my mission to want to play it before I proceeded through and played the third game. And I did. That's what I did. I went back and I played it, and I loved it. That's what I wanted to come here to tell everybody. It took me almost 10 minutes to tell you guys, but I went back and finally completed Xenoblade Chronicles X, and I loved it. Mainly for all the reasons I was having trouble with it the first time. And again, this video wasn't made just to be a review to tell you about the story and everything in the game and all that jazz. There are people who do reviews way better than me. I will highlight some channels below you can go check out who did really good videos on the game. And my go-to review channel for anything, ACG. So if you need a review, you got to go to him. But I just wanted to talk about what made me fall in love with it and has propelled it to being my favorite Xenoblade Chronicles entry now to date. And I know I wasn't going to talk about the story really, but that's kind of one of the other selling points for me. You know, the original Xenoblade had this big, huge, like your traditional over-the-top JRPG storyline. This one was just more straightforward. You are just trying to fight to save humanity. You know, Earth was just destroyed because it was caught in the middle of a battle. You're escaping on these life arcs. A couple of years later, while you're trying to find a planet for yourself to rebuild humanity on, you get caught in another battle. So your ship crash lands on this unknown planet. The life hold that is housing all of humanity on it gets separated from the ship. So you crash land, you awaken from stasis a couple months later, and you find out that your goal is to try to find this life pod so you can save humanity. Because without it, you're going to go extinct. And that's it for the game. That's the main goal of the whole game. Of course, you're going to throw some baddies in your way that's going to try to keep you from reaching your goal. But it was just a simple, straightforward storyline, and I really loved it. Like, that's all I need is something really simple. Let me save the world, and I'm off to it. But really, what I loved was the stuff that kind of detracted me at first when I first started playing it. The combat system, which I was having a tough time with the first time, I really started to grasp this time around. I watched a couple YouTube videos kind of explaining the certain combat systems and builds you can do in this game. Because in this game, there's a skill tree with a bunch of different builds you could go through to unlock to play through the game. That's what I loved. There's so much variety in the game. The first entry did not have that kind of variety in the combat system. The second game had a little bit more with the blades. Well, technically the third game, but with the blade system. But in the end, all anyone was trying to do was unlock the same rare blades so you could have the same strong build. And that was it. In Xenoblade Chronicles X, there's all sorts of different builds you can play through the game with and have a good time with. And if you're not enjoying playing as your silent protagonist character through the game, you can switch up to any of your other party members who are also leveling along. If you're getting tired of your duelist build, you can go ahead and switch over to a character who's running a Full Metal Jaguar build and enjoy that for a little bit. You can just keep mixing it up. And that's what I loved. Like, just the variety and the combat system and how everything flowed. It's better than any of the Xenoblade games, in my opinion. It's incredible, especially once you get a grasp of it. And I know a lot of people like to go into games with wanting to figure things out themselves. But don't be afraid to do like me and look up some help once in a while. You know, games are getting a little bit more complicated for this old man to understand. So I'm more than happy to have a little bit of help in how to navigate some of the combat systems in it. And I'm glad I did, because it made me enjoy it that much more. And then the exploration standpoint of it. Again, this world is massive, and how the story played out, which I hated the exploration and stuff. Well, didn't hate. It just felt like a nuisance. But I understood what the developers wanted. They wanted you to just go out and explore this world. They did not want you to just blast through the main story. This planet is alive in itself. There's creatures that inhabit it all around you. And you're having to go through, navigate, plant these probes. And you really get that sense of connection with the world once you start doing this on-foot exploration like that. You know, you don't get your skill until later on in the game. So a lot of your exploration is done on foot initially. So you're really getting a grasp and understanding of this planet and its inner workings and the surroundings. And I get it now. I understood why they did it. And as far as getting this connection with character depth and stuff, it's pretty much up to you. I know that's another complaint some people can have in the game. There are many missions in the game that can give you connections to build story development in the game. It's up to you whether you want to play them or not. So if you elect not to want to develop a character and the relationship with you, the affinity, it's up to you. You can just skip it and don't do it. But you get a lot more out of your party members if you invest that time into it. And I think most people, you don't really pick up a JRPG to blitz through it. If you do, that might be kind of like the wrong genre for you, because they're meant to have this kind of depth and long playthroughs and play styles. And I guess that's just something I was not prepared to do the first time I picked it up. But this time around, it just all started clicking. Like everything. The side missions, even found myself having a blast doing certain fun side missions. I'm a sucker for seeing a level and experience bar level up, and this game has so many of them, whether it's your own character level or whether it's the arts you're using from your skill trees. They all have the ability to level up to get stronger, or your blade level has the ability to level up. Just there's so much to level up in this game. Your gear, there's so much gear you can get to have this variety of different styles and just attributes to your character. It's overwhelming at times. It can be overwhelming, but I loved it. I loved it. And again, being able to just travel through this whole world without one single loading zone blows my mind. Except when you load into your barracks, that's like the only spot. But you can walk out of the barracks door, hop in your skill, and fly from each area without a single hiccup, and it's incredible. And I have to say, from the performance on the Wii, I cannot believe it's able to pump out a game this, or the Wii U, this beautiful. It looks incredible with very limited like frame drops, if any, during any of the fights I was doing. And the movement just feels so crisp, like the jump. You are on this foreign planet, so I guess there's less gravity on it. It just feels so good running and jumping and leaping off of tall mountains with no fall damage. It's just so much to love about the game. I thought it was incredible. And I had said Xenoblade Chronicles was my favorite game of JRPG of all time. Well, Xenoblade Chronicles X has dethroned it. It is now my favorite JRPG of all time. Now that could just be recency bias, just playing it so it's fresh on my mind. But I will be playing through Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition on the Switch probably later on this year. We'll see. And I'll be able to do a more fair comparison then. But for now, if you haven't given it a shot yet, if you're one of those people like me who picked it up and put Xenoblade Chronicles X down on your first go around, you gotta go back. If you're able to go back and play it, I know people were trying to hold out and hope for a Switch release. I don't think it's gonna come. You know, we got Xenoblade Chronicles 3 coming out. I do not think a port's coming of this game. It plays so good on the Wii U because you use the gamepad a lot for some navigation in the game. So unless they figure out a way to transfer that to the Switch somehow, it's going to be a better playthrough probably on the Wii U. So just do yourself a favor and play it on that if you haven't. Watch some videos on the systems if you can't kind of come to a grasp. Ask me, I'll help you out. I've learned it now, and it's not too bad. So I love the game. Again, this wasn't me wanting to come out to really do a review on it. I just wanted to share my feelings and how, man, I'm glad I went back to it because, again, I've said it so many times during this video, I love this game now. It's #1 for me. So, again, I cannot wait until Xenoblade Chronicles 3 comes out. Who knows? That could dethrone this one now. So, it's looking really good from what I've seen. So, I'm looking forward to it. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Give Xenoblade Chronicles X a shot. Won't be disappointed.